Hey everyone, it's Miss Jade. You won't see me in this video, but you will see me doing some modern calligraphy. I'll teach you the basics of anything you can do with a Crayola marker. I always use Crayola markers because they're super accessible and it's one of my favorite markers to use when writing in modern calligraphy. I'm no expert, but I do know a couple tips and tricks to learning to do this. I used to hate my handwriting and I do love writing in modern calligraphy. The cool thing about modern calligraphy is it's not like normal calligraphy. There aren't any specific rules and it allows for creativity and just you can express yourself and kind of do your own thing with it if you know a few of the basic steps to start. So what you see in front of you is what I'm going to teach you first. We're just going to practice how to use the marker, hold the marker, to do the different types of strokes that you'll need to do. So I'm going to move this off to the side and show you on a blank piece of paper kind of what I did there. So what I'm going to start with is the downstroke and the upstroke. For your downstroke, you want to use the thick side of your marker. So what I'm actually going to do is hold my marker like this as I approach the paper, and I'm going to come down with a really thick stroke. And then when I come back with my upstroke, I'm going to use the tip, but still keep holding it like this. So you can see I'm coming down on the thick side, and then I'm letting off pressure and coming up with the thin stroke. So when you are writing your letters, every time you go down, you'll do this thick stroke, and every time you go up, you'll do the thin stroke. And that is one of, I guess you could say, the rules to help you write in calligraphy or in modern calligraphy. So then we're just going to work on connecting those two. So you come down and then you start letting up and then you come down thick again and you start letting up thick. I start letting up about halfway down my thick stroke just to prepare. So you can see I'm not completely thick all the way down. It starts getting thinner right about here. So that's when I start picking up, thinning up so that I'm all the way thin when I come up. And then you go down and get thin. All right, so that's just connecting these two strokes that we learned up there. The next thing I'm going to show you is this half circle or C stroke that is used to start lots of different letters. So it's used to start the C, the A, the D, the G. So you start at the top or at the tip of your half circle thin, and then as you come down you get thick, and then thin as you come back up. So start thin, then you start your downstroke so you're thick, then you are coming back on another upstroke so you want to get thinner. So the best way that I learned was to just keep practicing these strokes until I felt comfortable with them. And then I started my letters. So from here, if I were to make a G, I would just come down thick, up thin. To make a D, I just come down thick, and then I do a little tail up thin. So you can see how this C or half circle stroke is really important to get down because you're going to use it for a lot of different letters. All right, so next we're going to do the stroke that starts like an H, a P, a couple of different letters that are important for you to know. So you start with just a thick downstroke, and then what you're going to do is do a thin coming back up and like halfway over. So start thick down, thin back up and over. Thick down, thin back up and over. So when we start doing letters, actually one of my favorite letters is the B. And so to do the B, this is what you start with. You go thick down, thin back up and around. And I just like how it looks. It was one of the easiest for me to get at first, but this stroke is really important to know to start that letter. All right, so we're done with our first step, and now I'm going to go through the lowercase alphabet with you. So here's one that I did already. I'll just go through the different letters with you. After we do the lowercase alphabet, I'll show you how to connect some letters for some different words, and then we'll kind of round it out there. We don't have quite enough time to do the whole uppercase alphabet too, but knowing the lowercase alphabet, you kind of already know most of the uppercase alphabet too. All right. So we were just using that stroke that we need to start our A. So you're gonna start at the top, get thicker as you go down, get thinner, and then we're just gonna do our thick downstroke and do a little thin tail upward. So your A is pretty simple. You can get creative with it, especially your capital A you can get creative with, which is fun. Then we're gonna do that B, which I just showed you. Thick downstroke, then thin back up, and a little loop, which is nice and fun. Then the C, which is actually just a stroke that we already learned in practice. And one thing that is important for modern calligraphy is you do pick up your marker. So as I do the D, you'll see I do our basic stroke that we learned, I pick up my marker, then I come back in for my second stroke. You don't necessarily have to pick up if that's your style, but picking up the marker for me just helps me to be more consistent with my strokes and get the thin and the thick correct. And then with our E, it's kind of like this C stroke, but we're gonna start inside with our little loop. So we'll start thin because we're gonna go up and then get thick as we come down. All right, then our lowercase f. This is definitely not my favorite. I haven't found one that I love, but so you start thin, come down thick all the way, then do thin and over. My marker's kind of dying, so let me get a different one. And then the G I showed you before, so we're starting with that stroke again that we learned and then coming down thick, and you can get creative with whatever you want to do over there with your G. And then the H, which is just like our B, we're going to use the same stroke to start it. So you're down thick, come up thin, and around. Oh goodness. Not B, I meant H. So that is the same stroke down and the same stroke up, which is why I got confused. But instead of coming around with your loop, you're gonna come back up with a little tail. My bad. Can't get my alphabet right. All right, next is an I, which is super simple. You're just gonna come down with a thick stroke, make a little tail coming up, and then dot your I. And finishing out letters like crossing your T's and dotting your I's is the same way for cursive. So you'll write your whole word first and then come back and finish out the dots and the crossing of the T's. All right, next is J. You're gonna come down thick, come back up thin. K, just one thick line down. And then this one kind of breaks the rules for how I do it. We'd be doing a downstroke, so normally that'd be thick, but it's just kind of too much thick if we do them all that way. So I do thin, and then my second downstroke I do thick. All right, then for your L, you do a little loop at the top, starting thin, and then down all the way with your thick stroke. All right, then M is a fun one. Down thick, then you come back up thin, down thick, up thin, down thick. And N is just basically half of that. Down thick, up thin, down thick. All right, then we have O. So you're gonna start not all the way like on the top of an O, just a little bit to the left. You're gonna come down thick, up thin, and do a little loop. That loop helps with connecting it to the next letter. All right, now P is the same beginning stroke as the H and the B, so let's hope I remember which letter I'm on this time. Down thick, then you come back up thin and around. So it's really similar to the B, you just have your thick line lower on your page than the B. All right, now we're at Q. So Q also starts with that same stroke that the A and the C and the D start with. Down thick, up. And then you do a thick stroke down, and then you make your little curl thin. And then our lowercase r is really similar to our lowercase cursive are, we just focus on thin stroke to begin. So you go up for your loop and thick stroke down. All right, then S, we're gonna start up here, thin, thick, thin, and over. This right here is what you would connect your next letter to. And connecting S and T are pretty fun because you can just extend that line out and then do your T. But I'll show you how you can do your T normally. So you just come down thick, up thin, pretty much the same as your I, but I make mine taller, and then you can do however you want to cross your T. All right, so then U, we're gonna come down thick, up thin, down thick. V is nice and simple. One stroke down thick, up thin. And then actually to cross my V, or to connect my V, I should say, with the next letter, I sometimes do a little loop there, so I have this to connect it to, just kind of depending on what my word is. Same with my W, down thick, up thin, down thick, up thin, and then I'll do a little curlicue sometimes. All right, our last three, X, Y, and Z. So you can start with a down thick, and then we're just gonna do up thin. That wasn't great. Come all the way up, nice and simple. And Y, we're gonna go down thick, up thin, and then I'm running out of paper room, but you come all the way down and loop back. All right, and then Z. This is actually one of my least favorite letters. I haven't felt that I found a way to make it pretty, so if anyone has any suggestions, let me know. So you go up thin, down thick, up thin right there, just a little short, up thin, and then down thick again. Once again, I don't have a lot of paper space here, but you come back up just like your Y for the Z. All right, so this is your lowercase alphabet minus that B right there. So if you want to screenshot that here, just to help you practice it at home. Next, I'll show you how to connect some letters. So you might have seen that beneath the alphabet. So first I just started with writing slinger and connecting it to show you that and what that would look like. And I did lowercase, and then I did an uppercase S with the rest of the word. So you can see, since you know the lowercase s, you already know the uppercase S. There's some other fancy things you can add to that, but at its simplest level, you already know the uppercase S. All right, so let me show you how I did that. So started with my S, and I stopped right there. And then I'm going to basically make my L and connect it down into this. So I'm just writing my L like I normally would, but I'm making sure my line intersects with where my S ended. So I want to make sure I have this little tail from the L because that's where I'm going to connect my I. So I'm going to come down, come up again. I'm going to wait to dot that until I'm done with the whole word. Now I'm going to connect my N to this tail as well. So I'm going to come down with my thick, up with my thin, down, up. So I'm connecting the curve of my G with this little tail, coming down and finishing my G off. And now I'm going to connect my E to this one. So I'm going to still start my E up here, and then as I come down, I'll go through this tail. And then this is the trickier part. Usually I would have kept going because my R I wouldn't stop with. I would go straight up into the curve of my R. But you can see, even if you have to stop, I can still make it look seamless like I didn't stop. Then I'd come back and dot my I, and there is my first word there that I connected today. Nice and simple. So my next one was just to show you how I might do my name so you could see some different letters. So I'll show you how I do that one. So for the M, I taught you the lowercase m. For me, how I do my capital M's is just really similar. I just make them bigger, which is how a lot of the letters go. So I come down, then up, thick down, then up, thick down. And this is what the cool part where you can get creative. I like to make like this one taller than this one, and you can kind of do your own thing and figure out what you like. Connecting my S, I'm gonna bring the tail there to connect it through, dot right here. And then for the capital J, you can kind of also be creative and do your own thing. This is one way that I found that I liked. Come down, up, and then I just add a little, I guess I would say a little curve like that coming off of it to separate it from my lowercase j. And then we've seen our A many times. D. And if your letters don't perfectly connect, you can kind of always fix it afterwards. It's very forgiving. All right, so there's how you connect two different words. Once you know your alphabet, it's really easy to start practicing how to connect, and that's really the last step. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you practice at home, and practice makes perfect, so the more you do, the better you get. If you do start learning and practicing, we'd love to see it in the comments below. All right, have a great rest of your day.